So as you mentioned that you were introduced to Mr. Sitaram Goel, an eminent Hindu thinker. So how did that collaboration with him help you get involved in the Ram Janmabhoomi movement?
Well, at the time he was compiling this book, Hindu Temples, What Happened to Them, and it includes the famous list of about 2,000 cases where a mosque was built in forcible replacement of a temple. Data from all over India. In some cases it is a temple that has disappeared and been replaced with a mosque. In other cases it is a mosque built with pieces from a temple, with pillars and so on. In some cases it is a temple that has been turned into a mosque, where very much of the temple architecture still survives. In some cases it is recordings of where a temple was, where now there's nothing, but where the temple was purposely destroyed in the name of Islamic iconoclasm. At any rate, these are hard data, which have not been challenged.
And this is all...
I mean, which have been challenged in general. People say, oh, yeah, he claims, but there's no refutation of any of this.
And it's all there in this book by Sri Sitaram Goel ji.
Right. And so when I saw this funny situation, that the Jawaharlal Nehru University historians and some others were flat out denying the history of Islamic iconoclasm, I thought, well, you see, this is an interesting topic. Let me study this a bit more closely. And so then I wrote this little book, Ram Janmabhoomi versus Babri Masjid, a case study in Hindu-Muslim conflict.
And wasn't this the book that was released by Sri Lal Krishna Advani in one of the press conferences?
Right, exactly. In late 1990, L.K. Advani held a press conference in which he explained why his political party, the Bharatiya Janata Party, was supporting the demand then pioneered by a number of sadhus for the so-called liberation of the Ram Janmabhoomi. And so in that press conference he held up these two books together. In fact, he had planned to hold up this book because he apparently assumed that a white person has more authority, but we convinced him to, use the opportunity to draw the attention to this book by Sitaram Goel, which has plenty of hard data that really are the basis for any serious understanding of the whole conflict.
So will it be fair enough to say that researchers like yourself, historians like yourself, and thinkers like Sitaram Goel ji did first empirical studies based on data that was available, published books, published papers, based on which a political party like Bharatiya Janata Party, which stands for Hindu rights, saw this as an issue which had to be addressed. So the political parties joined this at a later date and themselves did not create one out of thin air. So is this a fair assumption, or is it a fair conclusion?
No, of course it is fair. The Bharatiya Janata Party joined the movement only later. In fact, the Hindu demand for restoring the site to them is attested since at least the 1850s, when there were riots at the place, still under Nawabi rule. You see, the Nawabs were a provincial dynasty, vassals of the Mughal Empire. And so at the time already there were riots over the place. Then when the British took over, they separated the mosque that was standing at the time, the Babri Masjid, from the Hindu altar that had been built by Hindus nearby. There was a court case about it in 1885-86, where the British judge ruled that yes, it is a pity that a temple should have been destroyed for building this mosque, but since this happened hundreds of years ago, it is now too late to remedy it. So that was his view of the matter, but at any rate he accepted, like everybody else at the time, Hindus, Muslims, Europeans, that of course the mosque had been built in forcible replacement of a temple. In fact, when you look at the site, when you know the religious status of the town of Ayodhya, and you see this hilltop in Ayodhya overlooking the town, it would be very strange if there had not been a temple there. It's the perfectly logical place for a temple. And given also the fact that Hindus kept on going there on pilgrimage even when a mosque was standing there, even under Muslim rule when it was dangerous to do so. They tried to get as close to the site as possible. There's a famous testimony about this by Father Tiefenthaler from the 18th century, an Austrian visitor who described how at Ram Navami, the birthday of Rama, Hindus came to worship the birthplace of Rama, or came to worship at the birthplace of Rama, or as close as possible as they could get. So this is a very old issue. It is certainly not something created by contemporary